On this edition of Kababayan Today, for Talent Thursdays, Filipina actress from Dreamgirls, Sharon Leal, talks about returning to the theater with Stop Kiss. That's all next on Kababayan Today. Sharon Leal has been singing from a very early age and started out her career in the theater. She's best known for her role in Dreamgirls, kasama si Beyonce. She returns to where it all began for her in the theater with the second production for this season at the Pasadena Playhouse with Stop Kiss, opposite Angela Lin. Here on Kababayan Today, for the very first time, actress Sharon Leal joins us. Hello, Sharon.
Hello, salamat. Thank you
Oy,
for having me.
Marunong magtagalog.
A little bit, a little bit.
Okay, so you are Filipina, Sharon.
I am. My mother's from the Philippines. She's Kapampangan, and I grew up in a Filipino household. So yes, and it's a surprise to some. Some people say, oh, I knew it was happening. They could see it, and some people are really surprised, pleasantly surprised, but yes.
Okay, so growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up, we went to the Philippines when I was an infant, and I stayed till I was almost 7. So we were in Manila, and I went to preschool there. And so I have all of my earliest memories are of being in the Philippines and in the streets, eating mango in the street markets and that whole thing. I mean, it's very vivid, you know, for me, and I'm very rooted in, you know, that kind of imagery and that Filipino culture.
Okay, so being here that, you know, you grew up also here in America, how does that play a role in your being Filipino-American?
Well, I think, as we all know, all of us whose parents are immigrated from the Philippines, it's such a strong foundation. So even though I was brought up American, I was raised with, you know, a lot of the ideals that exist if you're living in the Philippines. So I think it's just made me multicultural. It's given me, you know, a different reference, a frame of reference, and it's interesting, right? It's like you meet people, and when they hear that I'm Filipino, it's like, oh, I didn't know that, or, you know, so it's just another element that I really cherish and am incredibly proud of.
Okay, so as we know, you started singing at a very, very early age. Your love for the theater, when did that all begin for you?
You know, it's funny. My first memory was actually at a preschool in the Philippines, a performance that we did to a Hawaii Five-0 song, and I had my hula skirt and my, you know, shakers, and it was the very first time that I knew that I loved being on stage. I was kind of shy as a kid, and for some reason, that music started, and it was time to dance, and I pushed my way to the front, and I just felt like, you know, I was in my zone. So I love that that's where it kind of began for me, and then in the States, I just I went to performing arts schools, and I did a lot of community theater, and surrounded myself with a lot of other actors and dancers and singers, and so I just was really yeah, infused into it from a very early age.
They say, as a Filipino, hindi mo matatanggal. You cannot take them away from the singing and, you know, the dancing. It's part of our culture,
it really
right?
is. I think we had a singing machine before anybody had a singing machine in the States. Yeah.
The karaoke, right?
Yes.
So talk to us about your very first professional job.
Okay, so my first professional job, I was working in the Bay Area, actually, and there was an open call, and funny enough, I was working for a medical insurance company, and I had, it was a desk job, and one of the Filipino women, elderly, well, you know, she saw this article in a newspaper and said, oh, they're doing an open call. Do you want to go? It's in San Francisco. And so I said, sure, I'll show up. And so there were 600 people there, and they picked 2 girls, and it was for Miss Saigon on Broadway.
Miss Saigon, who just celebrated its 25th year recently. How was the Miss Saigon experience for you?
It was fantastic. It was a great way to get to New York, a great first job, and also amazing because that cast was predominantly Filipino. So, you know, it was just a perfect sort of introduction to the entertainment business.
Okay, so I know that you do a lot of theater, you started in the theater, but then also you've been able to pursue this amazing career in film and television. So that's really exciting because you're representing who we are to the rest of the world.
Right.
Yeah, and that always makes me proud when I find out, wow, that girl in a Dreamgirls, she's Pinay!
Right, yes, and it's so amazing. You know, the fans are so devout and so enthusiastic and supportive. I mean, I'm so happy to have them in my corner, and every time I'm anywhere where they're around, I mean, it's just, you feel so loved and so supported. So I feel very grateful for that.
Okay, so being a Filipina in Hollywood, what are the challenges?
Well, I think, you know, we're still trying to make advances in just inclusiveness, right? Just that there are more jobs that we're properly represented. I think for any minority group, that's a challenge. But, you know, there's so many of us making marks now, and people know who we are, and, you know, you just sort of stay steadfast. So that's probably the biggest obstacle, is just being represented properly, but I do think we're making strides in that direction. And
do you get to audition for a lot of Filipino roles at all?
Not really. There's not a ton, but there are a lot of roles where they ask for multicultural type women, and then so when you tell them they're Filipino, then maybe they'll write it into the script, or it's just an aspect that I think goes under, you know, exotic, and people are more than willing to, you know, employ you because of that.
All right. Pagbalik natin dito sa Kababayan Today, kausap pa rin natin si actress, Sharon. I'm starstruck, really. When we return, kakausapin natin siya tungkol sa Stop Kiss. Don't go away.